Welcome back to the Machines of War. Today's episode is about the glorious German fighter, the Bf-109. The Messerschmitt Bf-109 is a German World War II fighter airplane designed by Willy Messerschmitt and Robert Lucia that was one of the most advanced fighters of its era. It had such features as a full metal monocoque construction, a closed canopy, and retractable landing gear. The total amount of Bf-109s built were around 33,984 units. The Bf-109 had three top scoring aces: Erich Hartmann with around 352 aerial victories, Hans-Joachim Marseille, who achieved around 158 aerial victories, and the highest scoring non-German ace, the Finnish Ilmar Juutilainen, with around 158 aerial victories. Now, the first Bf-109 served in the Spanish Civil War by September of 1939. The Bf-109 became the main fighter of the Luftwaffe, replacing the biplane fighters, and was instrumental in gaining air superiority for the Wehrmacht in the early stages of the war. During the Battle of Britain, it was pressed into the role of an escort fighter, which it was not made for. It was widely employed as a fighter bomber as well as a reconnaissance platform. Despite mixed results over Britain, the introduction of the improved Bf-109F in early 1941, it was still an effective fighter. In 1942, it began to be partially replaced in Western Europe by a new German fighter, Focke-Wulf Fw-190, and it was also supplied to several of Germany's allies, including Finland, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Croatia, and Slovakia. The first design work began in March 1934, and the basic mock-up was completed by May of the same year, and a more detailed mock-up was ready by January 1935. The RLM, or Reichsluftfahrtsministerium, or the Ministry of Aviation of Nazi Germany, designated the design as type Bf-109. The first prototype was completed by May 1935. However, the new German engines were not ready yet. To get the R3 designs into the air, the RLM acquired 4 Rolls-Royce Kestrel 6 engines by trading a Heinkel HE70 Blitz for them to use as an engine testbed. The Messerschmitt received 2 of these engines and adapted the engine mounts of V1 to take the V12 engine upright. V1 took flight at the end of May 1935 at the airfield located in the southernmost Augsburg region. It was piloted by Hans Dietrich Bubi Kunetsch. After 4 months of flight testing, the aircraft was delivered in September to the Luftwaffe Central Test Center, the Übungsstelle Reichslin, to take part in the design competition. In 1935, the first Jumo engines became available, so V2 was completed in October using the 449 kilowatts or 600 horsepower Jumo 210A engine. The V3 followed, the first to be mounted with guns, but it did not fly until May 1936 due to a delay in procuring another Jumo 210 engine. The initial models from A, B, C, and D series used a relatively low-powered 670 to 700 PS or 660 to 690 horsepower Junkers Jumo 210 series engine. The first major redesign came with the E series, including a naval variant, the Bf-109T, the T standing for Trager or carrier. The Bf-109E, or Emil, introduced structural changes to accommodate the heavier but significantly more powerful 1,100 PS or 1,085 horsepower Daimler-Benz DB601 engine, heavier armament and increased fuel capacity. The 109E first saw service with the Condor Legion during the last phase of the Spanish Civil War, and was the main variant from the beginning of World War II until mid-1941 when the Bf-109F replaced it in the pure fighter role. The second major redesign during 1939 to 1940 gave birth to the F-series, the Friedrich. It had a complete redesign of the wings, the cooling system and fuselage aerodynamics, and was powered by the 1,175 PS or 1,159 horsepower DB601N for the F1 and F2 series, or the 1350 PS or 1332 horsepower DB601E for the F3 and the F4, considered by many as the high watermark of the Bf-109 development. The F-type also omitted the earlier stabilizer lift strut on either side of the tail. The F's subtype's improved aerodynamic configuration was used by all subsequent variants. Some Bf-109Fs were used late in the Battle of Britain in 1940. However, the variant only came into wide use in the first half of 1941. The G series, or Gustav, was introduced in mid-1942. Its initial variants, G1 through G4, differed only in minor details from the Bf-109F, most notably the more powerful 1475 PS or 1455 horsepower DB605 engine. Odd-numbered variants were built as high-altitude fighters with pressurized cockpits and a GM1 boost, while even-number variants were not pressurized, air superiority fighters and fighter bombers, and long-range reconnaissance variants also existed. The later G series, G5 through G14, was produced in a multitude of variants, with upgraded armament and provision kits of packages, generally factory-installed parts known as Bauschatze, usually contracted to Umbau, by early 1944. Tactical requirements resulted in the addition of MW50 water-injected boost and high-performance superchargers, boosting the engine output to 1,800 to 2,000 PS or 1,775 horsepower to 1,973 horsepower. From early 1944, some G2s, G3s, G4s and G6s were converted to two-seat trainers, known as G12s. An instructor's cockpit was added behind the original cockpit, and both were covered by an elegant glazed canopy. The final production version of the Bf-109 was the K series or Kurfürst, introduced in late 1944. Powered by the DB605D engine with up to 2,000 PS or 1,973 horsepower, though externally similar to the late production of the Bf-109 G series, a large number of internal changes and aerodynamic improvements was incorporated. The Bf-109's outstanding rate of climb was superior to many Allied adversaries, including the P-51D Mustang, the Spitfire Mark 14, the Hawker Tempest Mark 5. However, as advanced as it was at the end of 1941, the Bf-109 was steadily being supplemented by the fuckable FW-190. And at the beginning of the jet age in 1945, the Bf-109 was retired. However, the Spanish Air Force retired the Bf-109 in 1965. Well, that was the glorious story of the Bf-109 and all of its subsequent variants. I hope you liked the video. I have been Gamer Romer, and I bid you adieu.